Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today I'm reviewing Villainess. This came out in 2017 and was directed by Young Gil. The film really focuses on Suki, who from childhood is shaped into a merciless killing machine by a criminal organisation. After things don't go according to plan, she's ultimately arrested. She's recruited by a sleeper agent with the promise of freedom after 10 years of service. And she jumps at the chance for a normal life, but soon enough secrets from her past destroy everything she's worked for, and now nobody can stand in her way as she embarks on a roaring rampage of revenge. This was a film I wanted to see for quite a while. I was only able to get my hands on it recently. And look, this film isn't quite what I expected. Yes, it does have the elements that I thought it would. You know, a kick-ass female character, you know, a lot of action and great fight sequences and just really intense action sequences in the film, and it does have this, but it just doesn't quite go the way you expect. The first act and the third act are really great, and they have all the action and everything you expect from a type of film like this, where the middle section is building character, I guess, but it sort of weighs the film down a little bit. It jumps back and forth in time, telling her story from her as a kid to previous before she joined this sleeper cell group, and then back and forth, and it sort of is a bit confusing at times. I find with movies like this, especially foreign films, that if the story isn't simple, the story has too many twists and turns, I feel a bit lost sometimes because I'm reading and I'm trying to take it in and absorb what's happening, and sometimes it can just be distracting. And that's what this film felt like in the middle. It felt like it let it down a little bit, even though there were little action sequences in it, and it was really story based. I just felt the way that it went about sort of let it down quite a bit. Because we first see her and the film opens up and she's killing all these guys. And then it's like she's being taken in by this group and trained. And then she's arrested, and then she's taken in by this other group and trained. And it just feels like it's repetitive, that we just keep seeing the same thing in different ways. And I just felt that even though the two things tie together in the end and come together in a conclusion course of action and violence, it just felt like it was repeating itself. But I still found it a very interesting and engaging film and was entertained by it. I just wanted it to be better than it was. The positives about this film are the martial arts sequences and the fight sequences in the film. I think they're fantastically captured and well orchestrated. From the opening scene, where it's all this fight sequence where she's standing in the corridor and she's looking down and there's all these men appearing that she has to fight. It's all done through a POV shot. You see her arms like this, like a video game. She has swords and she has guns. The whole sequence is done from POV shot. I've never really seen it used like this before. I know there are films that are completely based on this fact and do use this aspect of filmmaking, but I've just never seen it before. And this scene goes on for like 5 or 6 minutes, and then it changes once she sort of comes face to face with a mirror. And this is the first time I really see her as a person. I think even though the fight sequence is really well done, and this kinetic movement of the camera's always moving these scenes, going around, up and over, and just doing something different. Sometimes you can't see what's going on because the camera's moving so quickly that it sort of takes away from it. You can't feel invested in the fight sequence. I know John Wick set a benchmark with action sequence and seeing every single frame and scene of it. Where this sort of tries to do that, but it's just so focused on moving the camera, you feel a bit lost, you don't know where to look in a lot of ways. And I think this aspect lets the film down a little bit as well, because I want to see what's going on. And in parts this doesn't really allow you to. I think she's an interesting character and she's engaging, and I like the way that the actress plays it. And it's a character you can invest in because you believe in her. You want her to achieve things. You want her to live a normal life. You want her to escape all this crap that she's had to go through since childhood. And you sort of feel for her in a lot of ways. They try and build this romance between her and this other guy, and I don't quite know if that works. It sort of works, but I just don't know if it's necessarily needed. And in a lot of ways, it's sort of taking things from other martial arts films, such as Kill Bill and La Femme Nikita. Like, there's elements of it. There's this whole thing where her father was killed, and that sort of a driving force for the whole film, and the revenge that she seeks. And she's sort of, during this sequence, she's hidden under the bed, and it's sort of reminiscent of Kill Bill when we're introduced to Lucy Liu's character and how she became the warrior she became, and it sort of copies that a little bit. And the same with La Femme Nikita, when she joins this sleeper agent group, feels a lot like La Femme Nikita. You know, they're trained in there, she tries to escape, you know, she's told she can live a normal life after she gives a certain amount of years to the organisation. And doesn't quite go according to plan. This is exactly what this does. And in a way, it does feel like John Wick in the fight sequences, even though the camera work is sometimes a bit too quick that you can't see exactly what's happening. There's this whole motorcycle chase that's just fantastic, where they have swords and they're fighting each other. That's sort of reminiscent of John Wick 3, but it's a very reminiscent scene, except in John Wick 3 he's riding a horse, which is a different, where she's riding a motorbike. But this sequence is really well done as well. It borrows from things, but it also tries to make something of its own, and I kind of like that. There's a lot of twists and turns in the story, and the story goes in one direction into another, and there's a lot of flashbacks and stuff, which, like I said earlier, was a bit distracting and it took me out of the film at times. But it's kind of interesting to see the arc of this character and where she started and where she ends up, and just the person she's become. Ultimately, she loses everything. She has nothing to lose left in this film, is when she heads off on this huge rampage that takes place within restaurants, but the climax of the film, the ending of it, takes place on a bus. There's a whole fight sequence on a bus where she has an axe and she has to fight all these guys. And there's a scene where she's sitting on the bottom of the car, something's on an accelerator, and she's steering while sitting on the car with an axe in her hand. It's just such great imagery. And the bus sequences are just fantastic to watch. Like I said, the camera work is a bit shaky and all over the place, so you can't quite see exactly what's happening, but it's a very effective scene. And I've never quite seen a fight sequence take place on a moving vehicle in such a way. For me, I just felt that they should have just had a linear story. Start when she's a kid, lead to the next thing, into the next thing, and then we get to the end. I just felt that it just tried to be too mysterious for such a simple story. And the other aspects of Kill Bill in this film are the relationship between the bride and Bill as well, and they sort of copy that a little bit in this film as well. Like most of these sort of martial arts films, it is quite violent and brutal in parts, but it's really effectively done, and it's quite engaging film in many ways. Final thoughts. At the heart, it's trying to do something different in the martial arts world, which I really respect and think is fantastic, and it's good that they're trying something different. I just feel with a lot of martial arts stuff now, where we get to see everything take place, the fight sequences unfold in a certain way, and we get to see every aspect of that. This film lets you down in that way, because the camera is moving so much that you're not able to see the whole fight sequence that take place with the new standard that they've set with these sort of martial arts films. It's a straight up revenge story. The story is very simple, and it's really just this one woman seeking vengeance upon those who've wronged her, like the classic sort of revenge stories that we see. I'm going to give Villainess 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was a fun experience. The action sequence was really well done, and it was just a fun film, and I enjoyed a lot of aspects to it, just not everything. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe down the bottom. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.